Hello there. Happy Thursday. How are you doing? So we're just going to make sure that we are live on Instagram, and we're also live on TikTok as well. So greetings and hope you are well. That's a really weird. Do you know what? For some reason, I've always assumed that the lookout for or the background for both Instagram and YouTube are the same, but they're not. They're not at all. Hi, how you doing? So, welcome to Live with Vic, and today we are talking about intuition and why it is so important that you don't ignore intuition. So, what is it? So, intuition is that knowing. So, you know something without any data, any proof. You just know it, you feel it. Quite interestingly, this evening I sent my friend Rochelle a WhatsApp message, and all it said was yellow. And in my mind, I was like, do you know what? I want to do something. I want to say hello to her in a playful way. I didn't have really anything to say to her, but I was just like, yellow. And she came back to me and said, why did you say yellow? I was like, because I can. I was being cheeky, right? And she sent me a picture saying that she was just holding a yellow paint card against the wall, showing her daughter, who's called Maisie. She was showing her daughter the color that we're going to paint the hallway, and it was yellow. And she was just like freaking out. She was like, how did you know? How did you know? How did you know? Now, to be fair, I hadn't really tapped into anything, but I just thought I'm going to say yellow. Now, what's so funny is that is not my normal way of saying hello to people. Does that make sense? So your intuition, it has no data, there's no pattern or anything. You just know. It's what you will call your gut feeling. You know, it's like you just know, you feel it, you just know. And a lot of people go, I don't know why, but I just feel it. Now, let me tell you, the people who normally feel this are mums. They feel it a lot. Like your intuition, mums, is incredible. But you only use it for your children. So your gut feeling will tell you whether your child is safe or not, whether your child is lying to you. You'll also use it for your partners to make sure that your partners maybe aren't cheating on you, maybe they're not, trying to sort of like have you on. And a lot of the time, do you know what? They ignore the intuition. You ignore the intuition, especially when it comes to your partners. And I'll tell you why. With your children, there is so much abundance of love that there's no reason to doubt it. So you're more likely to go with your intuition for your child rather than the intuition of a partner. Normally, you get the intuition of a partner, but then guess what? You then turn around and get scared of being alone. You get scared of ever meeting somebody else. You tap into all your insecurities, which means you're completely coming from a place of lack, which then overrides your intuition, which is why you end up staying in relationships a lot longer than you plan to. Yeah. I wonder if anybody's put it like that for you before. So just an incredible tool to have. Now, I've said this before and I'll keep on saying it. When you are born, you get given your breath, you get given your intuition, and then you get given your purpose. Today, we're talking about the intuitive side of things. Society has trained us and seduced us not to use our intuition. With our intuition and our purpose, oh my goodness, we are unconquerable. Now, what does this mean? It doesn't mean that you don't have challenges in life. It means that it's going to take something massive to knock you down. Like, you can't be knocked down. You keep on moving. I was talking to a friend yesterday and they were saying that based on what you've gone through in your life, you just keep on going. I'm like, because I know I am here. I know I'm here and I use my tools effectively. And I still think I could use them even more, but I definitely use my tools. So your intuition allows you to skip the data. Now, I am never going to tell you to skip data because I feel like data has got its place. So if you're wondering why I'm talking about data, I'm talking about data, logic, the things that need to be tested. At the end of the day, we are in a world where we can manage patterns, or at least identify patterns and everything else. But your intuition is the only other way that you can determine what's going to happen. And the more you train your intuition, it's like a muscle, you can start to really create some incredible outputs from that. So one of them is working with your intuition. What I know for sure is that I have managed up to £9 billion worth of projects using my intuition. I've used my intuition to be able to manage relationships. I've used my intuition to be able to manage what projects to work on, people to hire, and other key decisions in the workplace. And I want to tell you about this particular story. About 10 years ago, I remember being told about a project in the workplace. And I straight away said to the C-suite who were in charge, and I said, this is not a good idea. I wouldn't go with this particular project. Don't go ahead with it. Now, at the time, that project was worth £5 million. By the time the organization realized that they had to can that project, they'd invested or wasted 10 million. 10 million pounds. They could have saved 10 million. Now, here's what's so interesting is that the same organization, when I first joined the organization, allowed me, again, with my intuition, to save 250K within 2 months. 250K. And yet they ignored me when it came to saving a £5 million project that ended up costing them double the amount. Your intuition can be used for so much, but it is for you to sort of like train the people that you work with and let them know how incredible this particular tool is. It's something that not a lot of people talk about, a lot of people know. And here's the thing, managing projects with your intuition is a gold mine. It's something that a lot of people don't do. As a result, you start to get more speed by the time you navigate complexity, and you avoid the paralysis around decisions. You also start to get that foresight so you can spot issues way before without having to wait for data. So, for example, if you can connect to the people around you and to the situation around you, you can almost in foresight be able to determine certain risks, like, start thinking about maybe somebody's just got married, so maybe they're not going to be at the top of their game because they're probably in the honeymoon period, or maybe they're trying for a baby. You don't know, right? But it's like, if you tap into your intuition and you know your people well, you can determine that. Now, this isn't saying, so for example, when we talk about risks, and I'm going to do a call about this, when we talk about risks, we're not talking about saying this is for sure. A risk is something that could happen. So if you're thinking that, oh, well, do you know what? Mary's just got married, so she may, sort of like, I know that she wants children, so I can feel that, she probably want to get pregnant within the next month, year or so. Then when you're planning a project, if you're assuming that there's 4 people going to be working on that, you might go, do you know what? There's a risk that we might be a person down. It's just so that you're not blindsided by the news that somebody's pregnant 3, 4, 5 months down the line. Innovation, you get to create from vision and not just from validation. The more you use your intuition, you start to use your visionary more. You start to understand, you start to be able to dream up, you start to be able to encourage your team to use their imagination. That's one of the things that Steve, oh my God, what's his name? Steve, the guy from Apple. Steve Jobs. That's the guy. That's how Steve Jobs built the iPhone. He wanted people who would use their intuition, and if you didn't use your intuition, he'd take you off the project. He wanted to encourage people. He was like, I want to create something that is in nobody's locker. Nobody's written it down. Nobody's thinking about it. How can we create something that the world has not seen before? And as a result, he created something that could carry thousands of music in this little thing. He created a phone that could do everything, that, overrode the pen, the paper, the big computer, and everything else. But all of that came from intuition. And then resilience. When you use your intuition, I can say this for sure because I've gone through a lot of uncertainty in my life, is that when you use your intuition and you tap into it more and you train it and you practice it, it allows you to withstand some of the most tumultuous of times. A lot of people mistake, you have the have the notion and make the mistake thinking that intuition just means that you can read things and forecast things and everything else. It's so much more than that. The resilience of an intuit is sensational. Like, they just keep standing if they use their intuition properly, because they go beyond what people can see. They go beyond what other people's opinions. They don't care about what other people say, what other people do. It's like you've got a bigger purpose. And then leadership, be able to read people and the dynamics before they explode. Again, I've talked to you about maybe somebody coming in, getting married and having a child. And again, they may not have to get married, so please don't come to me for that. I'm just giving you an example. But also, being able to look at somebody and just know that they're not okay. Yeah. So I remember years ago when I was managing the Olympics, that was the £9 billion project that I was working on. I remember somebody on there just was underperforming, and his wife had just had a baby. So logically, the question was, is everything okay at home? Are you all right? Blah, blah, blah. But what came to it wasn't necessarily him being the problem. It was actually his what do you call it? His boss. Let's say boss. I was his boss, but we co-managed him. And when I went to speak to the boss, because then I was like, there must be something wrong. When I sort of like sat down quietly, and that's another thing with intuition. Your intuition works better when it's quiet. What came up was that this person was terrified of his job, of losing his job, and also the reputational risk of this project not going well. Remember, we are delivering the Olympics, and with projects like that, there's already a set date. So there's already a set date. So it's not as if you can change this date or you can go and negotiate and stuff. Nah, that's the dates that you've been given. And yet there were delays happening, and this guy was sort of like really struggling. He was struggling by the temper of this other person, which I know isn't right, but also it was affecting his well-being. So this other guy's like, I cannot afford to miss these deadlines. We had the mayor coming in. This was when Boris was the mayor. Was it Boris? Or was it the guy before? I can't remember. I think it was Boris. But this is when, like, Boris, I think it was Boris who was the mayor, and Boris was just about to come in. And it was like people were terrified. Like, the mayor would come into the office and people just couldn't handle it. People just couldn't handle having to say to the mayor, look, we're running late. We're struggling with X, Y, and Z. So this guy who had a family to look after was having major panic attacks. And guess what? He was taking it out on the rest of the staff if they didn't give him what he needed. Overall, he was scared. By the time I could work that out, I could then go back and coach the other member of staff, and sort of like I became the bridge between them. So I would then go and check the work and then present it to this guy, who then calmed down, stopped shouting, and we got back on track with the project. You see how quickly you can solve problems when you use your intuition? So your intuition is not just about, being able to read people, or be able to read situations, or whether you're going to fall in love, because I know that's what a lot of people want to know. It's like, oh, am I going to meet somebody? Oh, what can you see about me? All of that is just entertainment. Intuition is an incredible tool, and when you use it wisely, you can create incredible things. So I'm going to give you a few famous people's names who use intuition in their business, and then you can go back and go, wow, these are the businesses that they've created. This is why using your intuition is great. And that's something that I do. That's my job. My job is to help you use your intuition more. When I work with clients, they get to use their intuition more so that they can then not leave money on the table, create more opportunities for themselves, and build their lives so that they could fall in love with them again. It doesn't matter whether they work for a company or they work for themselves. It doesn't really matter. There are opportunities to be created when you use your intuition. So we've talked about Steve Jobs. We've also got, oh God, why have I just gone blank all of a sudden? Richard Branson. You've got Richard Branson uses intuition all the time. Russell Brunson uses intuition as well. And you've got Oprah Winfrey. And the fifth one that I'm going to give you is the lady who wrote Harry Potter, Joe. I'm giving up on the names today and stuff. It's like, I can't believe I'm missing out names. But J.K. Rowling, that's it, Joe. But yeah, J.K. Rowling. These are just 5 people who use their intuition. And what was so cool was I was listening to John Bishop, who is a UK comedian, and even he talks about using his intuition to write his jokes and everything else. When you use your intuition, you can't go wrong. When you panic, when you worry, when you try to impress, when you try to manipulate energy, that's where you're going to struggle. So let me know what you think. Do you use intuition? Where do you use intuition in your life? How has it served you? Comment below. Let me know what else you want me to talk about. I am here every day, and I'll come in and I'll do a live, and I look forward to seeing your posts. I will speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.